Hi, and welcome and thank you for attending our webinar on closing the data quality gap in Dynamics CRM. We have Steve Webster from DQ Global and Carl Gallagher from Gap Consulting presenting the webinar today. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please post them in the chat panel where we can answer them. And thanks once again for attending. I'm now going to pass you over to Steve to start the webinar.
Thanks, Danielle. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. This is Steve Webster from DQ Global. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today. It's much appreciated. As you'll have seen from your invite, we also welcome Carl Gallagher from Gap Consulting, one of our partners in the data quality and CRM space, and we'd like to welcome you all. We will just we'll do a little bit of housekeeping just while we wait for the last couple of attendees to come through. So if you're just joining us now, you haven't missed anything as yet. Today we're going to be walking through the challenges around managing data quality in a CRM environment with a view to Microsoft Dynamics CRM. However, a lot of these challenges are ubiquitous across all types of CRM systems. So if you don't have Dynamics, you're not going to miss out on some content here. Myself and Carl will be talking about some of the experiences that we've had, and hopefully we'll be bringing in your experiences as well. There will be a poll. We will be asking you for some information, and as well we will be providing you with a response to that. So the time here in the UK is just after 4:30, so we'll get started. And if anyone has any questions, as Danielle said, please do drop them in the chat box and we'll get underway. So let's set the scene first of all. Let's find out a little bit more about who DQ Global are for those that don't know us and who Gap Consulting are. Well, I'll go first, Carl, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Great, thank you. DQ Global are a data quality software and services provider. We've been in operation now for getting on for 20 years, providing support, advice and software tools to help organizations get the best out of their data assets. So we have been providing tools that work with standalone enterprise data systems and with CRM systems for quite some time now. And that helps our clients in effect drive better value out of their data and have more trust in the data that they hold. And I'll hand you over to Carl to introduce Gap Consulting.
Hello there. Yes, so my name's Carl Gallagher. I work for Gap Consulting. We're a Microsoft Dynamics CRM Gold partner. We're also a Gold partner for Microsoft Dynamics CRM Online. We focus exclusively on the Microsoft Dynamics CRM platform with customers in varying industries really, but we have a number of areas of specialism in professional services, legal and health industries. We typically refer to XRM as being our specialism really, which is any relationship management, so uplifting the out-of-the-box Dynamics CRM functionality of core sales and marketing processes and really adding additional value for our customers by mapping other processes, other customer-facing processes into Dynamics CRM. Our biggest customer has around 2,000 CRM users. That's an on-premise deployment, and our biggest CRM online deployment is around 900 users.
That's great. Thanks, Carl. Thank you very much for that. So everyone, before we start fully, I'm working on the assumption that there are some reasons for the title of the webinar attracting you today. So I just want to ask a quick question. I'm going to launch a poll here. What are the key causes of poor data quality in your organization? So I'll give you a bit of chance there to look through that and select any of those that you think are appropriate. It's useful for us really to get a feel for what people are suffering with, if anything. and what's brought you here today, and we'll feed the results of that back to you as we go. So that poll is now open, and we will close that in around 30 seconds or so. So if you've got the chance to have a quick look at that, you'll be able to give us your feedback. I can see you all madly typing away in there. I'd like to say thank you again for people joining us both from the US and the UK, from a vast array of different industries I've noticed today. So be very interested in your thoughts on this. Okay, well I can tell you, and the results are in, as they say, or they're still continuing to come in, but it's pretty evenly split. Interestingly, the largest single reason is lack of data quality tools, followed by legacy data and multiple data systems. And also poor capture processes are up there as well. So lack of data quality tools is just about in the lead. So many thanks for that. Thanks for contributing to that. It's helpful for us to understand what the issues are out there at the coalface, as it were. So I'm going to close that poll now. Thank you. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about data quality. And again, I believe everyone is here for a very similar purpose, and that's to try and find the last piece of this, what we call the data quality delusion, which sounds a little harsh, but I'm sure you get the spirit that's intended behind it. We say that everyone understands the importance of data quality, and that seems an obvious thing to say, and everyone agrees that data quality is important. It's then fair to assume that everyone cares about data quality, but is it fair to assume that everyone knows what actions to take to improve data quality? Well, the webinar today really is about giving people some food for thought. It's not going to provide you with all of the answers. We will be talking, of course, about some of the software tools that are available, but this primarily today is about getting you to think about some of the things that maybe you can do, some of the attitudes and cultures that can be changed, and some of the challenges that you can brainstorm your way through overcoming, either with your Microsoft Dynamics business partner or within your IT teams, or through using an organization like DQ Global to help you. So if we look at B2B data, and please forgive us, our viewers in the US, but we're going to use a UK example here. There are circa 5 million trading businesses in the UK. However, in terms of data, how the way data changes, there are over 5.7 million company or individual detail changes per year. So either a company changes or people within that company move on, retire, get promoted, etc. So that equates to one business move every 6 minutes, or one business fail every 4 minutes. So we can see already it's hard, without us doing anything, it's hard for us to keep on top of the quality of the data, because it's like shifting sand beneath our feet. On top of that, on average, a person changes jobs 11 times during their career. And we'll see that continue as the phrase jobs for life seems to be almost a distant memory now. We'll see people continue to take shorter and shorter tenancy. So keeping on top of where our customers are, where our prospects are, is becoming increasingly difficult. Well, let's look at what that means in terms of the usefulness of the data that we hold. On average, data decays at around 2% a month, so around 24% a year. So it has a half-life attrition, as we call it, of around 3 years. So it starts to become, to put that in layman's terms, it starts to become seriously useless if you do nothing with it after 3 years. Now, if you have insufficient care for the overall data quality outside of that data change decay, if you like, then even at a very conservative estimate of data decaying at 35% per annum, allowing for poor entry, allowing for duplication, allowing for incomplete capture, then that means that your data is likely to be at best useless within 2 years. So that's something there to certainly consider, to hopefully put the rest of what we're going to show you into context. Well, how do we end up with bad data? For those of us in the UK, you'll probably recognise this picture, and those of you that are in the US will as well. And I was discussing this with Carl earlier on, and we talked about family feuds and family fortunes as a program that generates a lot of merriment. But there's a serious underlying point to this, and that point being that we quite often think on the spur of the moment. We capture data on the spur of the moment, and we can potentially come up with a data management equivalent of give me a boy's name beginning with the letter J and the answer immediately being Gerald. A word beginning with Z, xylophone. And a part of the body beginning with N being knee. These are all genuine answers that were given from this program. But as I say, there is a more serious point to this. And the serious point is that if you are creating potentially duplicate records using non-identical character strings, so what we would call non-identical duplicate records, then your CRM system is very unlikely to find them. That will lead to further problems, as myself and Carl will go on to investigate in a minute. And sometimes you can just get the context absolutely wrong. So when asked for a mode of transport that you can walk in, the answer that was given was your shoes. Now, again, that just really points out the fact that sometimes the context of what you're trying to capture data within can be completely misinterpreted. Okay. Carl, we've seen, haven't we, lots of examples of where systems become integrated and where pick lists and data entry means different things in different systems. We've just put a couple of examples up here, but these are the sort of things where misinterpretation can really start to take a hold and cause data quality issues. Are these?
Yeah, and Steve, I'd probably just jump in there and say I think we're seeing more and more now, particularly with Dynamics CRM, that it's not a standalone solution sat on its own with its data firmly updated purely in CRM. We're seeing more and more CRM solutions now integrated with other back office systems, and particularly where you have these things like pick list values and values that may change quite frequently in the source data system. Of course, that can then lead to data quality issues in CRM if, for example, the example you've got there, you're using M for male in one system, male in the other, and if you've got data quality issues there, it can mean that you've got to do quite a lot of work in your integration, hard-coded in your integration to try and get around that, or to try and come up with other ways, other processes, other tools of dealing with it within CRM.
Absolutely, thank you for that. We've got some great examples there, and I'm not entirely sure how the hotel chain it ended up with 9 variants of agenda, but they managed to do so again, through sort of pulling together different systems. So you may have F as a pick list in one, female as a pick list in another, for example. So this kind of standardization approach is absolutely vital to make sure that you are sort of singing from the same hymn sheet with the data that you hold. Okay. Another example that we had, this is a sort of semi-apocryphal example, but we know certainly within the defence industry that this story is said to be true, where different systems were brought together. It was subsequently discovered too late that part numbers from the 2 different systems had some overlap, and we discovered, or it was discovered, that the part numbers for a ration pack and the part numbers for radio valves were in fact the same. So this presented us with some challenges, or presented the client with some challenges, certainly, when they were hundreds of miles from home and hungry. You can't eat radio valves, of course, but again, there's a serious point behind this, that there needs to be a lot of care and consideration taken around, not just the customer data that you hold, but all of the parts data, the product data that comes with that. And I guess, Carl, part of the CRM integration challenge is that there's an awful lot of relational data that has to be managed in this way. Does that tend to present you with those sort of challenges?
Yeah, absolutely it does, and we would tend to use a tool such as Scribe for our integrations, and we find more often than not that we're actually doing data transformation in a temporary table within Scribe before taking it into CRM to try and deal with these particular issues. Now, Scribe's quite a configurable product, but in a number of senses it would almost be better to be able to deal with this when the data's in CRM very quickly through the more kind of an easier UI for really anyone at system admin level to deal with these things as and when they occur, because of course the same issue doesn't occur each time. You need to respond to changing data, and if you've got your rules hard-coded into heavily hard-coded into integrations, you lose a little bit of flexibility there.
Absolutely, and that's, as you rightly say, data quality processes shouldn't necessarily be a one-off activity, but they should be part of the overall, the daily routine, as it were, to make sure that everything stays healthy. So what can happen when data goes bad? Well, we talked about a few examples when we sent the invites out to you, and we want to talk about 3 just very brief examples. And I'd be keen to talk to people perhaps after the event, or we can maybe discuss it in the chat towards the end of the event as to whether any of these issues really resonate with you. But we're going to look at just very briefly 3 challenges that can happen when data goes bad. And the first one is user adoption rates. And Carla, maybe sort of as someone that is involved in the management of change, this change curve will be familiar to you. It's very similar to what's known as the bereavement or grief curve, but it's a curve that's specifically applied to the journey that people go on during a major change. And it's fair to say that a CRM implementation can be a major change, can it not?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, user adoption is a big thing for us, a big focus for us in any projects that we do. So when a customer is undergoing a change program, we try to work with them to make sure that there are key activities in there to try and help user engagement and user adoption, such as roadshows and playbacks, and the right marketing material is getting out there, and clearly there's a focus on the functionality of the system. One of the things that the users are going to buy into or not is the functionality of the system, but it can be quite demoralizing if you get that right and your functionality is there, but data quality then ends up letting you down because either through poor training or integrations perhaps not bringing through the correct data. We find that users can quickly get probably the frustration stage of your graph there if they're looking for an account record to go and associate an activity to, and they can see 3 or 4 versions of that account and they don't know where to put their data. They can very quickly lose confidence in the platform.
Absolutely, and I've seen through work with CRM, not just at DQ Global, but with other organisations that I've worked with and helped over many years, that exact same challenge where there is a natural resistance to change even with the best change management processes in place, and people like to, unfortunately, be proved right, as it says there on the curve. When you're in that denial phase, people look for evidence that things aren't true or that things aren't all as rosy as they're being painted, and a few poorly created records or some duplication or some other challenges that are in fact getting in the way of the customer service people doing their job or the sales people doing their job very quickly get exaggerated and inflamed to the point where people say, well, this CRM system is useless. And of course, after a major implementation and a major investment, that's the last sort of response that we need. So something to watch there for those of you that are considering or in the process of implementation, that data quality right from the get-go, right from the start, is something that really needs to be in place to help oil the wheels of a successful implementation. Okay, let's look at pipeline issues. So we're going to talk purely about data duplication here, again, because it's a challenge again that I've seen on sales floors up and down the UK, and I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people that are on the call here, where data can be created where it means the same thing, but the data, the character strings, if you like, are completely different. So we can see here in this slightly tongue-in-cheek example that we have two opportunities in our pipeline. One, an opportunity for hosting services for PowerSuite software, and one, an opportunity for hosting services for the PowerSuite software company. Both the same revenue, but two different account managers. Now, I'm not going to point fingers at Tony Stark or Lara Croft in terms of who's right and who's wrong and who may have accidentally created an additional account. But of course, the challenge is that CRM typically allows us to create these kind of duplicate records. Now, whether accidentally or accidentally on purpose, that you do end up with this kind of duplication, which can lead to the cost of actually trying to work out who is the correct owner of the account, what is the correct name of the account. All of those challenges then mean that you waste time, and if you're wasting time, you're wasting money. But also from a pipeline perspective, of course, we're not presenting a true figure of the likely amount of revenue that we're going to generate as a business to our shareholders or to our executives. Have you ever seen anything as obvious as this one within their, Carl, or are they usually a bit more subtle than this?
Possibly a little bit more subtle. But it's definitely something that occurs. Dynamics CRM does have data deduplication functionality in there, but of course something like that, where PowerSuite software incorporated and then the PowerSuite software company, it's not going to pick up things like that because CRM wouldn't recognise it as being a duplicate. So as far as CRM concerned, they're two distinct records. All of your fantastic pipeline dashboarding and reporting in CRM, whilst that's great, it's giving your FD what he wants in terms of his pipeline. Of course, it's suffering from the fact that your underlying data is incorrect.
Absolutely right. Okay, well, we'll leave Laura and Tony to fight that one out. I know who my thing's on. Finally, let's look at general efficiencies. We called this account management efficiencies, but actually the more I thought about this over the last day or so, I think that it's efficiencies right across the business. We've touched on this already, and quite a few have answered that in the poll in terms of bringing together multiple data sources. But it's not just multiple data sources, it's different functions, different systems, and different people that can lead us to end up with silos of data that are very difficult to rectify. And again, I was speaking with Carl on this subject, and I think it's without no names, no pack drill, as they say. You have a client that has suffered massively from this as part of the sort of migration process, have you not?
Yeah, we have. I would say this one is one that really resonates with us on projects, account management efficiencies, because of course our target for CRM is this. It's a very marketing-y term, but it's this 360-degree view of the customer. It's that single customer record in CRM where you can see any activity that's going on against that customer. If your sales department are speaking to the customer, you know about it. If your service department have spoken to the customer last week, you know about it. And really, once you start getting to that point of you've potentially got multiple records in the system for multiple customers, your users don't know where to file there or where to associate their activities, you're having to go to more than one place to get a true picture of of the account and to manage that account. And so we see that issue occur with users entering data through CRM, but also we see it through data migration and integration as well. So one of our big customers embarked upon a project, and they were trying to consolidate 5 different legacy CRM systems that various sales managers and account managers had across the organisation, including Outlook as well. So everybody had their own contacts in Outlook, and a lot of these people are dealing with the same companies, possibly different contacts at these companies, but the same companies really, and the data exists in more than one place. And the challenge really for us with that project was taking, I think it was 5 data sources and trying to bring that together, and based on some rules that the customer provided us with, trying to match names up. So if we take the company 3M, for example, you know, it was recorded in a number of ways: 3M, 3 space M, 3M space UK, 3M space global, and there's quite a bit of matching that needed to go on across their entire customer database. Now we manage that through Scribe and through doing a lot of work up front in temporary databases and in temporary matching, which is great for a one-off data migration. But if you're looking at integration, I think you need something a little bit more flexible, something configurable from within CRM itself to deal with these instances when they occur.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's a great point, and almost as if by magic, it leads us on very nicely to the reason that Gap Consulting and DQ Global are working together, and that's to provide people with a more effective way of managing the data quality within their CRM system. So we very much didn't want this to be a product pitch. We'd be delighted to talk to people at the end of the process, but what I wanted to do in both cases here is talk about a couple of tools that we have that can help organizations with both the kind of in situ deduplication and the data migration issues as well, applying data quality processes to data migration as well. So I'm just going to introduce 2 products to you. I'd be very keen to talk to anyone who, or as would Carl, of course, be keen to talk to anyone who has any further questions on this. But Perfect and Merge as our first tool is designed as a solution to help close the data quality gap. It does so by identifying those non-identical duplicate records or matches across your systems at account level, contact level, or at lead level. It can link them together so that you can create a relationship between them, and you can master them so that you create that perfect view of the record. Merging them as well is the work of an instant, and you're also able to update the data in real time as well. So it gives you a window into deduplication that you don't currently have within Dynamics CRM. There's lots and lots of great functionality within Dynamics, of course, as there are within most of the major CRM systems. And this is really about providing you that extra 5, extra 10% capability to really make your CRM for business. So let's just show you very briefly what we're talking about here. You can see on my screen that I have a review screen from Microsoft Dynamics, which is presented to me via the Perfect and Merge tool. Perfect and Merge is designed to work with on-premise or online versions of Microsoft CRM. And what we have here is something that you wouldn't get with CRM itself, is the ability to compare 4 records that appear to be duplicated side by side. Dynamics at best can only handle 2. So what we'll see, we'll just do a little bit of animation on this page here, but we can see that on the left we have Bestway Dual Controls Corp, and we've actually decided that Bestway Dual Controls Limited is the best record. It just makes more sense, and we've perhaps gone away and checked to see what the proper company name is, which would always help. You can also drag across using the Perfect and Merge functionality, because you're working direct with the data here via a filter, for want of a better phrase. You can make changes. You can edit the records through this interface here. So if we want to select individual elements of the best record to create that perfect record manually, we can do. But there's also a great merge capability within there as well. So it's really giving what we like to think of as data stewardship, the ownership of data quality back to the users. Perfecta Merge, as I say, we can talk to you more about it individually if you'd like to find out more, but it's a tool that enables both CRM administrators to run advanced deduping and matching processes, but also allows them there to pass those results back to the users if that's appropriate, to get them to have their input as to what constitutes the perfect record and create that quickly. So that's deduping, merging, and creating the best possible record in situ. A lot of what we've talked about today, though, has been the kind of data migration and integration challenge. And we're very excited about the tool that we have here, DQ Studio, which is a data migration business rules tool, in effect, that enables you to seriously manipulate and migrate data. Uniquely in this kind of software space, it has data quality tools embedded inside. So we talked about other migration tools earlier today. This product is unique in so much as that it has the ability to classify, compare, i.e. match, reformat, and transform data as well. We have large amounts of transformation libraries in there of all common noise and extraneous words that we can use to transform data on the fly. You can also validate and verify and connect to third-party services as well. There's a lot to talk about here, and 30 seconds, of course, wouldn't do it any justice whatsoever. But the key point to take away from this is that if you are doing a data migration, then it's worth actually applying some data cleansing and data quality processes to that at the same time, rather than perhaps treating them as two separate challenges. Just a very brief example, and this is very simple, but it gives you a bit of a feel for how easy it is to use. We are going to show you here, and I'm hoping you can see this on the screen, but if not, you'll just have to believe me as I explain it, that we are picking up a data source, and we're perhaps dropping it into our data target, which may be Dynamics CRM, for example. We've done all the mapping here, but what we're doing with the data when we pick it up is we're going to do some validation based on internal rules, and we're also going to do some, if you like, some verification as well. Now, that verification for emails, for example, can be a ping to an external server to check whether an email is deliverable, or it can just be to check the format. Same with websites and telephone numbers, as you'll see. So we'll just, again, animate this slide for you. So you'll see we're picking up data from a source and dropping it into a target. And then we have some pre-processing rules that enable us to change that data on the fly. So we're going to validate and improve the quality of the postcode, the URL, and the email before then we put it back out. Now what you're going to see here is kind of like a runtime example in effect. So you'll see that it works feeding back to the main screen the results. Obviously it'd be a bit boring if it just ran in the background for you for a demonstration, but in effect you will see what happens behind the scenes here in a window. So we've got some poor quality data there. We've got for example, a website that's got an extra dot in it. It will go away, work with that data, and then bring it back with not just corrected data, but also enhanced data as well. So what you'll see here, and I'll just pause this just so you can get more of a feel for it, is that we've not only improved the standardization, but we've actually enhanced the data as well. So we've now put in international and national versions of the telephone number. We've confirmed that it's a fixed line. We've also corrected the postcode, because the postcode had a 0 instead of an O in it previously, so that's been corrected. The email address has been correctly formatted, as has the URL as well. So that kind of data migration capability really enables people to say, when we start our CRM implementation, we start on as solid a footing as possible. We no longer have the challenge of the data being the frustration, and the data being one of the reasons that the change management process is so difficult. I'm hoping for you all that's been useful. We've provided you with half an hour, we hope, of food for thought. We are here now to answer any sort of chat messages you may have. And if you want to drop those in there, then please do so. There will also be a poll at the end to find out a little bit more about what you might like to see from future events such as this. If there's anything that you'd like to discuss with either of us, then please do so. Our contact details are on the screen now. DQ Global as a data quality software business, we can work internationally. We have our main office here in the UK. Gap Consulting are a UK-based Microsoft Gold CRM partner, as Carl alluded to. As they say in advertising, other CRM partners are available, certainly outside of the UK. You can go through Pinpoint, Microsoft Pinpoint, to find a local US CRM partner if that's the point in your journey that you're at the moment. But both of us are very happy to talk to you about any of the challenges, any of the issues that have been raised today. If we don't have any questions, then I'm happy now to close. If you are still on, please do take the opportunity to answer the poll on the way out. It gives us great feedback for these further presentations. And please do drop us an email from the email that you can see on the screen there if there's anything else you'd like from us. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you, Carl, for joining us and being a great support.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone for attending, and we'll hopefully see you on the next event. Many thanks for your time.